So let's talk about the NEUBIE. So how did you start your interest on the NEUBIE, and what is it?
Sure. Well, the NEUBIE is it's kind of a weird name, NEUBIE, but it stands for Neurobiological Electrical Stimulation. It's a proprietary form of electrical stimulation that's pulse direct current instead of alternating current like everything we see. So I don't think we really want your audience to get into necessarily the physics, but I'll give you examples of how well it works and how it's helped other practices. Like I said, I've always been kind of a gadget guy. I've worked with other devices over the years, but as physical therapists, we always get approached with these devices, whether it be the 𝗓𝐥𝐤 treadmill or cold laser or, a form of PEMF, and all these things work. They're proven to work, but it's really difficult to get return on investment. It's really difficult to use them against the broad spectrum of patients that come through the door. The day I was introduced to the NEUBIE really was a day that led to completely changing my practice and like hundreds of practices across the country now. Back in 2017, one of our locations was in a bodybuilding gym, a satellite location, and the owner of that gym, his name is 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤. And anybody that knows anything about bodybuilding has heard of 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤. He's really famous in that world. He kind of calls himself the mindful meathead because he's very much a brilliant mind, and he does research and he teaches people how to get the best out of their bodies. And I'd been there for a few years and he knew I was into technology. And one day at the end of the summer in 2017, Ben said, "Hey, Jason, I went to this bulletproof conference or some biohacking conference in Austin, Texas, and he met this guy named 𝐏𝐨𝐝𝐿𝐴, who's the inventor of this NEUBIE device." And it was even before the device was FDA cleared, but he told me I should check it out. So anybody that knows Ben knows that he has such a overpowering presence. He doesn't small talk. He doesn't do anything like that. If he says something that you should check it out, you're going to check it out. So people that have heard of Ben are probably laughing on the other end of this podcast right now. So I got online, I looked up NeuFit, which is the company that makes the device, called the number, and 𝐏𝐨𝐝𝐿𝐴, the engineer, neuroscientist, and inventor, is the guy that answered the phone. So I spent about an hour on the phone talking to Garrett, and I felt right away that he was one of those people in his company that just want to help improve the human species. He just wants to help people live their best optimal life, which is much different than any device company or any rep that I've ever dealt with in my life. Usually they talk about CPT codes and how much more you could bill for this or that, and you're just like, it just totally turns you off. So I was on a plane a few weeks later to go spend about a week in Austin with Garrett and his team. And I was there for one of their really early educational sessions on this device. He was in a facility that had to be like 1,000 square feet or less. And there was only me and one other PT in this training. There were about 15 of us. The rest of them were like biohacking people, personal trainers, body lifters, things like that. As a business owner, I remember being completely impressed by the facility. In a space that was really small, as we were in there learning, he had about 50 clients coming in where there were these rogue CrossFit racks. There were about 8 of them with a NEUBIE device, which I didn't know what it was at the time, in between each one. And these people coming and going, walking past our lecture, like with a smile on their face, paying their money, leaving with an even bigger smile on their face. I'm like, man, any PT practice would love to have this model. 50 people a day coming in and paying all cash for getting better and recovering and rehabbing. And so, I thought that, I need to kind of figure out how to utilize this device, bring it onto my practice back in Tampa, and figure out a way, does it really work in the physical therapy setting? And if it does, I mean, this is like Nobel Prize stuff, I thought in my mind, written all over it. So fast forward, I bought one machine, I brought it into my practice, and we were just like a testing ground. We were like a proving ground to see how does this work. I trained all my staff how to utilize it. And by the end of the first quarter, just by really not even knowing how to use it, but just knowing the basic protocols, we had our best first quarter in the history of my company, just by getting referrals of people that were, telling other people about it. And so over the course of 2018, we kind of started developing what I call quick start protocols with the device. Just kind of, the way I joke about protocols when I teach people is like, if you do something 1,000 times, and it works 900 times out of 1,000 times, you better start writing things down because it kind of works most of the time. And that's all I talk about when I develop protocols. Like most physical therapists, when they hear about protocols, they think of that really mean orthopedic surgeon that used to refer patients to them. And if you deviated like one letter away from the protocol, they called yelling at you saying they're never sending another patient to you. protocol shouldn't be that way. It should just be like a starting point to break down the barriers and the walls from not wanting to at least try it, right?